Alright guys, in this video today we're going to be going over yet another LEC tier list. We've been covering tons of the tier lists made by, former professional players, content creators, whatever, relevant people in the scene, and today we have another big one. Obviously that is Caedrel. Now, I know the first week of the LEC is already under our belt, but hey, this is Caedrel. This is a very, very big deal when you have a chance to cover, what he has to say about the LEC. People usually listen. I think this would be fun to do, but also I want to show off the new tier maker that is on the Sheep Esports website right now, which you can actually go take advantage of. You can use this to do tier lists of the teams in different leagues, but also the different players in those teams as well. This is a very, very cool tool. To get access to this, all you have to do is go to the transfer hub on sheepesports.com and then go over to the right side and click on tier list, and you'll have full access to this. So like I said, Caedrel had recently, right before the beginning of the LEC season, posted this video called the LEC 2025 tier list. You guys should definitely go check that out. Check him out. Obviously he makes amazing content, but I wanted to go over what he had to say about the LEC before the start of the season, and give some of my thoughts and opinions on that as well. So obviously first we're going to be starting out down here in the D tier, and he does actually have a team down there in the D tier, which I do respect, and kind of not shockingly, he has the same team that a lot of people had at the very bottom. This is going to be Team Heretics. Now I know we've talked about this in all the lists, and I kind of keep saying this, but I don't know if Team Heretics deserves to be that low. Obviously we've seen 3 games already and they have a win, so maybe they're not the worst team in the LEC, but also best of ones can be insanely volatile. You don't want to read anything too much into just a single best of one, but I do think that in general people are kind of sleeping on Heretics. I think Camilo is a pretty exciting player, hopefully has a bright future ahead of him. Doesn't mean he's going to start off the bat like insanely well or anything, but then also Shio in the jungle as well is another guy who I'm super excited about, and I do think we'll be able to win games for them. I get it if you think Heretics is the bottom team in the league. I think that's fine, but I think there's at least a couple of other teams close to them. I don't think they deserve to be in a D tier of their own, but that is what Caedrel decided to go with. He has just one team in that D tier, and that is going to be Heretics. Now, up in the C tier, he does have 2 teams. This is going to be SK Gaming and Rogue. Now, again, SK I think is a bottom tier team. I think that is fine. Rogue does still surprise me a little bit when people have them this low. Again, am I super excited about this Rogue roster? No, not necessarily, but Larson is still Larson, and now that he has a pretty decent roster around him, I think he can maybe bounce back in 2025 in a big way, and he needs to prove himself. If Larson kind of continues to kind of just be a middle of the pack or whatever serviceable mid laner, he's going to find himself on the outside looking in. So Larson needs to bounce back and have a good year this year. I hope he will, because I do enjoy him as a player. He's obviously had a lot of success. He's had a good career up so far. I think Adam and Malrang are really fun to watch. They're really crazy, exciting players. I think they'll probably lose Rogue some games, but I think they have an opportunity to win Rogue some games as well. And then I think the bot lane is at least solid enough and serviceable enough on Rogue that I could see them winning some games. I can see them definitely being a middle of the pack team. Now, hey, the top half of the LEC is all really strong, so just saying Rogue is like okay at a lot of different positions doesn't really mean much, but I don't think they deserve to be below SK. I don't think they deserve to be lumped into the same categories as Heretics and SK and teams like that, and I definitely don't think they deserve to be a tier below a team like Team Vitality, which is a little bit strange to me as well. Now again, SK, I think they didn't have the best offseason. I think losing Niski sucks. I think losing Irrelevant sucks. I don't think they made like the most exciting replacements in the world for them, so I do think SK will have a pretty kind of struggling 2025, and hopefully they'll find some pieces that work out that they'll be able to develop for the future, but I have really low expectations for SK in 2025. So I don't know. I would have SK closer to a D tier team, and I would have Rogue maybe an upper tier C tier to lower tier B tier, but this is what Caedrel has at least. Now in the B tier, interesting again, he just has one team, and this is maybe actually looking like a decently solid pick so far. He's got BDS in the B tier. Now obviously at the beginning of the year, before the year started, I would have said, hey, maybe Giant X should be here, maybe K Corp should be here, whatever, but hey, K Corp and Giant X are both off to very hot starts, so maybe they deserve to be a tier above BDS. I don't know, but this BDS team to me looks really fun, really solid. I'm expecting pretty big years from guys like Irrelevant, guys like Ice. Obviously Perus as support is a really exciting player that a ton of teams are interested in, a ton of teams rate very highly. And yeah, you have Nuke, who I think will be solid as well. 113 is definitely the big question mark, but they believe in him. They think he's going to have a good year. We'll have to see how that goes. Now, this is where the Caedrel tier list starts to get really spicy, really interesting, really weird. We have a lot of stuff going on here in the A tier. We have a very busy A tier. I want to get these teams right in the right order. We have Giant X. We have Team Vitality, crazily enough. we have K Corp, and then Mavi Star Koi. Now, I don't know how this tier list is. This is the first time I've really played around with this tier list a ton, so I didn't know how it was going to look all together in that A tier, but this is actually really clean. This tier list on Cheap Esports is really, really, really cool. I can see us doing a lot of fun stuff with this, and I think you should definitely check it out, and you can download the screenshots, you can share them on Twitter, you can share them all over the place. I think that'd be cool, but I really, really like this feature. This is a super clean tier list maker. But yeah, in this A tier, very interesting, very crazy. I've seen a lot of people have a team like Giant X even lower than A tier, but obviously they're off to a very, very strong hot start, so Caedrel having them a little higher is a good look. K Corp being this high up, people had their doubts whether Yike was going to be the real deal, whether Targamas was even worth having an LEC roster spot, but so far so good for K Corp. They're off to a strong start. Giant X obviously off to a strong start. I do think Mavistar Koi is fine here, but Team Vitality is a little bit of a head scratcher to me. Very, very interesting. Obviously he must have high praise and high regard for guys like Karzi and Hillisang. Must really believe in guys like Linkus, Chayek, I know is off to a decent start. Naknako, who people are really, really counting on to be good this year. I don't know, if you think those guys are really good players and solid players and underrated and going to develop, I would think more maybe Vitality's going to be set up for success and going to be a good team in 2026. I really do have my doubts about, Hillisang's form at this point in his career and really that bot lane in general. And the other three players, just being a little bit more young and inexperienced, like, are they going to be consistent enough? Are they really deserve this praise? Like I said, even if you think they are underrated, even if you think people are sleeping on them a little bit, to move them this high up, that's ballsy. That's definitely putting your money where your mouth is. Maybe Caedrel's going to end up looking like a god. Maybe he's going to end up looking like a genius. I don't know. But like I said, with the volatility, with the craziness of best of ones, teams can go on a heater. Teams can surprise some people. Teams can win a lot of games. I don't know. But I would definitely not be putting Vitality here. But I think the other three teams seem pretty fair, pretty accurate. K Corp, Giant X, Mavistar Koi. Seems like a lot of people, they're going to be battling out for that third world spot. But with how things are going right now, if G2 and Fnatic don't step up, maybe multiple of these teams, maybe all three of them could end up going to Worlds. Who knows? It'll be very, very interesting to see. And then obviously, no surprise to many people out there, he does have Fnatic and G2 in that S tier. Now, obviously, these two are no strangers to being at the top of the LEC, but this year may be different than most, where sometimes people have G2 in a tier of their own. Sometimes G2 is that like automatic like S plus Z tier, Giga S tier, whatever. But now maybe more than ever, it seems like Fnatic and G2, at least in the preseason, at least coming into the year, are a little bit closer than ever. And obviously, G2 hasn't gotten out to the best start in the world in the LEC. Fnatic, not necessarily like world beaters either so far, but G2 maybe looking beatable this year, maybe looking like it could be the chance for somebody else to finally nab an LEC title, which hasn't happened in the last couple splits. And who knows? I mean, again, we've seen G2 not win titles a couple times over the last couple years. We've even seen G2 not make it to Worlds at least one time in the past couple years, so it could be possible. It could be something that happens again. And if this G2 roster doesn't totally click together, if they don't, or if they aren't the right fit together, if people can't handle the pressure, if people can't handle the expectations in the environment, it could be possible we see G2 uprooted. But what does G2 being uprooted mean? Does that mean them finishing second, third, fourth, and then who does rise into that S spot to replace them? So nobody really being confident enough to bump G2 out of that S tier for now, but having Fnatic up in that tier with them is at least something that will hopefully add competitiveness and storylines and rivalries to the league. And yeah, that the top tier of the LEC is going to be really fun. It's really exciting. I do think the top 5 or 6 teams in the LEC this year are all really, really, really close. I think each week and each game, any of them can beat any of them. And this was really fun. But Caedrel with a little bit of a spicy tier list. I think some teams a little too high, a little too low for my liking. But obviously these are all opinions. This is how tier list goes, and you got to use your own analysis and judgment. And we'll see how it plays out in the LEC this year. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Like I said, definitely go check out this tier list maker over on the Sheep Esports website live now. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.